Hello there, adoptive parents. How are you guys doing today? I'm here to talk to you about when our adopted children either say they hate us or they act like they hate us. So the truth is, if you are an adoptive parent and you are raising kids with a trauma background whatsoever, whether that's an in utero trauma background or post-adoption or post-birth circumstance, your child is likely at some point to make you feel unloved and unwanted. They are likely to even verbalize it if they've experienced a lot of trauma post-birth. So my name is Brooke Fremouw. I am here to talk to you about this today. I am a certified trauma support specialist, but more importantly, I help my families to take the chaos that's in their hearts and in their homes and exchange that for peace and calm. So if that's something that you're interested in, check out my website at thetraumamama.com or look for a link on my site here for you to be able to book your free 45-minute consultation where we can really go through some strategy on working with your family and getting things further towards the goals that you want. All right, with all of that being said, let's dive into it. Has your child actually said to you, "I hate you"? Yeah, so I've had that happen. I am an adoptive mom to 11 children. Some of my children came as preteens or teenagers, and so the trauma that they experienced in their life was intense, and their identity issues and even their biology was really changed because of the neglect and abuse that they had to face prior to coming to our home. So here's the thing, I would say usually a child that verbalizes, "I hate you," if they actually verbalize it, it usually is a reflection of themselves. So let me say that again. If they say, "I hate you," more than likely they have a great dislike or hate for themselves. Guys, here's the hard truth. The hard truth is that your child deserved to be born into a family with a loving, stable mother figure and father figure. They deserved to be hugged and held and lullabies sung to them. They deserved to have warm food in their bellies. They deserved to be cared for and treasured the way that you love and try to care for and treasure them. They shouldn't have had to be disrupted from their biological family. And the reality is the fact that they were disrupted from their biological family oftentimes is internalized as, "I was not enough reason. I am not valuable enough for my birth family to change, to do better, to get a job, to put a roof over my head." And though their mouth justifies it because they feel like they need to defend their biological family, that's their identity, inside they say, "I am not enough." And they don't like themselves. And so when they're lashing out against the reasons that they are having friction with you and they say, "I hate you," it's generally really not about you. And I know there are some mamas that are watching this today that needed to hear, it is not about you, okay? It is about what's going on in them. Now, there's a difference between saying "I hate you" and behaving like "I hate you," right? Some of us, and I would tell you, I get the "I hate you" behaviors, the rolling of the eyes, the stomping off, the disgust, the unwillingness to talk, the resentful, passive-aggressive behaviors, especially out of teenagers, right? And I know that a lot of biological children do that same thing, and actually for very similar reasons. Yeah, Pansy, stop. No, he's being very rude. I apologize. So what is that all about? Let's take a look at that. So many times that is being done because they are seeking control and power. And when you squash their control and squash their power or threaten it, they want to take it back, right? And so that is their disappointment with the fact that, hold on here. Let's see if we can get the dog to stop being disruptive. I apologize. I am back. Okay. Thank you for not going anywhere. So oftentimes that is them saying, "I don't want you in authority. I don't want you to have the power in my life. I want autonomy. I want to go and do what I want to do. I want to eat what I want to eat. I want to throw my dirty clothes where I want to throw my dirty clothes. And I'm going to choose my friends and I'm going to choose my privileges with electronics. And we all know that it is normal for teenagers to buck against that authority and behave in that way, right? Where they're passive aggressive or defiant when it comes to that. But again, we have to speak to the cause. We have to decode the message and speak to the root cause rather than taking that message and internalizing it as, wow, I'm a crap mom. They don't love me. They hate me, right? What's another reason that we get those I hate you behaviors? Manipulation. And whether it's done in words or whether it's done in behavior, oftentimes there is a root manipulation that the child is trying to achieve for themselves, okay? So it's them saying, if I make you feel bad enough, then maybe you'll bend in my direction. If I make this about you, maybe you won't see that this is about me. Do you hear me, moms? Do we fall for that? We want to be liked. We want to have a happy and peaceful home. And so when we see the chaos and we see the anger and we see the hatred, we're like, oh no, something's wrong. We need to fix it. Because as moms, we're fixers and we're healers and we're nurturers and we're the people who sacrifice ourselves, lay ourselves out for our children. And then at the end of the day, when it's not appreciated, it's like, oh no, now what? What do I do? And we're left with all these horrible feelings. Our children are left with really dysfunctional tools because they're trying to use manipulation instead of speaking to their real needs. So what do we do with it, right? So let's look at some action steps for this. What do we do with it? The first thing that we need to do is recognize that the solution is not giving more, okay? If we see that the child is saying, I hate you. You have no right to take my friends and my electronics away from me. Well, oftentimes what do we end up doing? After a period of calm and a period of reflection, we start to feel guilty. And then we give them back or we take away the controls that were in place to keep them safe. All of the screenings, have to know your password, have to know where you're at with Life 360. And we're like, okay, well, maybe that is too much. And we start to question our own boundaries. I think it's good to question your boundaries. Don't get me wrong. I think sometimes as parents, we need to be able to see things from our children's point of view and evaluate whether we're being unreasonable. And yet at the same time, so many times we end up giving in ways that we shouldn't, and we end up severing boundaries that we shouldn't. So I want to remind you, mamas, I want to remind you that you love them and you care for them, and that those boundaries are set to protect them and to protect you. So caving isn't always the best thing, right? We want to be liked. So a lot of my moms, I see that when their children are upset with them, they're like, the next day, they're like, oh, well, let's go have a coffee date. Well, let me take you and get your nails done. Let me take you and get some new clothes. Let's go shopping today. And so then the child learns like, oh, if mom's upset and we're not getting along, she's going to make added efforts to go over the top. And I love that over the top. So let's continue with the manipulations. Let's continue with the behaviors. So we've got to make sure we don't do that. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to decode the message. We need to decode what's really going on. Are they seeking control? Are they seeking power? In what ways can we bring that to their attention and say, listen, I know it's hard to be under my authority. I know you're growing into a beautiful young man or a beautiful young woman, and that you're ready to be able to spread your wings more and test those things. And honestly, I'd rather you fail at home than fail out in the world and learn and grow underneath the safety and comfort of our home. However, there are some ways in which you can have control, and in other ways it's inappropriate for you to have control, because at the end of the day, my job is to also keep you safe. So what things can we give our children that they can be in control of, right? Like, you can be in control of where you're going as long as I know you're safe. Life 360 meets my need for safety and meets your need for control, right? You want to be on Snapchat. I honestly don't like Snapchat. Well, Bark is a great filter app that actually blocks inappropriate images, and Bark will send you inappropriate text dialogues according to a criteria that you set. So you want to be able to communicate with your friends on Snapchat. I need to know that you're safe. Can we compromise with putting bark on your phone? What's another way? Kids want to be in control of their chores. I have a family right now that the kids are like, Mom tells me 5 times that I need to clean the bathroom. And the parents are like, well, if you would have just done it the first time I ask, then we wouldn't have to ask you 5 times. Does that sound familiar? So now we just have a chore list, and we give the child a chore list every day so that the child can be in charge of how they get their day done. And the parents have the ability to know that it is going to be done, or there are consequences for not getting it done. So decoding what it is that your child is trying to do. Is it for control? And if your child is simply being manipulative, call them out. Call them out on it. If your child hates themselves and therefore projects their own self-hatred onto you, really, we need to speak to that. We need to remind them of their value and remind them that they don't have to put others down in order to make themselves feel better and bigger. That at the end of the day, they feel pretty crappy about it. So do you, right? So there's got to be a better way. And communication is at the heart of all of these. If communication is something that you struggle with, especially with your preteen and teenage children, it is 90% of what I work on with my families. How can the parents communicate their needs, the children communicate their needs, and then find that common ground in the middle so that we can actually have a healthy dialogue and a positive, healthy, productive result. So again, if that's something that you need, please reach out. Let's book a strategy call and see whether or not there's some things that we can do to help you get there. I assure you, most of the time, your children do not hate you. If you are a healthy, functional home, they love you. They respect you, and even more, they need you. But the truth is that their life and their feelings are complex. If they have trauma wounds, it's even more so complex, and they don't know how to stand in a place of loving you without feeling like they're choosing you over their birth family. They don't know how to be fully present in communicating because there's a large possibility that they are developmentally delayed or that they're just not functioning at the same age quite yet, right? And so we've got to have an extra layer of grace and understanding and work hard to decode what it is that they're really saying through their mouths and through their actions, and then speak to that. Not let ourselves emotionally engage with the message of, I hate you. I hope that you found this helpful. Please share it with your friends that are going through a hard time with their children. And hopefully it'll speak to them, and just a few little things that I shared might make all the difference for you guys at home, right? So if you're a mama that can relate to this, let me know. Has your child said, I hate you, or do you just feel it in actions? And what are you going to do differently today because of some of the things that we talked about? I hope that you're encouraged, that you are loved, you are needed, and you are standing in a gap for your child. That is truly admirable. The moms that I meet and work with, I am telling you, and dads too, some of the most devoted, loving, nurturing parents on the face of the planet. I have so much respect for you guys, and for my husband too, for standing in the battlefield with 11 of us kiddos, right? So it's definitely a journey, but a journey that I love being on with you. You are never alone. You're not alone in the world of the adoption community. So happy to walk arm in arm with you through this. Take care. Have a blessed, blessed day.